Hi, this is Michael Carlin, president of Henry & Horn Wealth Management here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Actually, today we're recording in Tempe. Delighted to be joined by Dr. Lina Karam. Today we're talking about autonomous vehicles, which for those that know me, they know that I'm a total nerd for this stuff. I could not be more delighted to have Lina. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
It is. So just to give everybody an idea of who Dr. Lina Karam is, she's a full professor and computer engineer director, the director of R&D in image and video and usability at the lab at ASU. You're an IEEE fellow. It's the highest grade level in IEEE, which is conferred each year to no more than 1/10% of all voting members.
That's what they say.
I know that's what they say. That's incredible, impressive. In PhD from Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. Do you miss Georgia? No, you like it here better?
So both, like they have like pros and cons. I mean, right. I like it here, I like it there. So, I guess people make the difference. So
yes.
So in both places, I had like wonderful people I worked with. Right. So I like it in both places.
Very political. Very political. Your areas of research interest. Let's talk about that first. We'll kind of set the table because it's apparent to those who can go online and look at your resume, look at the things that you've written and studied and researched, that you're truly expert in the area of driverless technology. So, let's talk about your current research interests, because they're just, again, pages. I have pages of notes on them.
Yes.
So what would you want to highlight first here?
Yeah. So when I did my PhD, it was in the field of signal processing, and signals include video, imagery, right. audio, all kind of data. And currently, when I joined the ASU, I initiated the area of image and video processing and computer vision. And recently, more and more, we're working more on machine learning and computer vision based right. machine learning to help the computer vision.
Right.
So my current areas of interest include all these like signal processing, computer vision, machine learning, right. including also image video processing and data transmission compression, especially if you have.
Is that just for cars, or is that more
for
than
everything?
Cars?
Like for streaming, like when you watch Netflix videos.
Yeah.
I mean that video getting transmitted over the internet or whatever. Right. Like you watch TV, you have video to get transmitted. Mm-hmm. This is all kind of similar concepts, but with connectivity and wireless, you have lower bandwidth, so you can't really send a lot of data. So how do you do this more effectively? With mobile devices, you have to worry also about battery life.
Sure.
I mean, if you're kind of downloading video or uploading video, you see your battery
right.
draining.
Yes.
So we have to look at more efficient algorithms to do that, or solutions.
So it's funny, your job is essentially just the things I dream about. Those are the things I dream about and wonder. And it's funny, I just cut the cord. I just got rid of cable. This weekend I went to Roku. I got a Roku device.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm saving $120 a month, which will be over the next 20 years with growth was like $57,000. I'm pretty excited. I'm excited about that.
And the nice thing about today's technology is things are getting all interconnected. So even when you look at driverless cars, you have there also, they're looking at connectivity, connected vehicles. So you have this transmission communication there, also data back to the cloud for processing. So you have to transmit huge amount of data there,
right.
from image, video, signals, data control. So it becomes, and you have to kind of have different people from different disciplines working on that, from the mechanical engineer to the computer scientist to the electrical engineering, the automotive people. So it's very interdisciplinary, including this transmission that you can use the same methods to watch TV or Roku or whatever.
Really?
So everything is interconnected, and you can have everything. All these, topics are in this driverless car too.
And that's how the car. So the way I understood it is that, in large part, the LiDAR, which a lot of people think when they see LiDAR, or when they think of it, they think of the thing that spins on top of the driverless cars they see.
You need to know the environment.
Yes.
That's the whole, and that's important for driverless cars. To sense, you have kind of two main ways to do it. One is what we call passive, like a camera, just taking pictures. One is active, where you send the waves you send actively waves and you receive those back.
Sure.
And based on the difference between what you send and what you received, you could so you're actively probing the environment.
Sure.
This includes radar and LiDAR. So the DAR at the end is detection and ranging.
Got it.
So to detect obstacle and also to detect depth.
Yeah.
So with the radar is radio frequency, LiDAR is more light frequency. So you have these waves, whether it's which part of the spectrum.
In both of that, all that information comes and feeds into one computer?
So it depends how you want to do it again. That's the thing. So different companies are looking at different ways and technologies, and that's why we need these engineers, computer science, even people, even like usability people, what works better and things and how fast. And we need people working also on standards and what's the minimum thing and how much you can sense. And there is a trade-off because at the end of the day, if you don't make things affordable, people are not going to own those or it's not going to work. And now each of these costs like $1 million or something.
The cars, the whole car
No,
themselves?
if you put all these sensors. So some people are putting a lot of sensors and stuff. You don't need maybe these solutions, but it's sometimes a killer. But that's why you have engineers, computer scientists, and people from different disciplines working on getting you something that can work better, affordable also. Right. So cost effective is important. In addition, definitely one main thing is safety. That's why they're trying to do these redundancies by having all these sensors. So you have a lot of sensors that cost money, especially whenever you have something that has liability. I think things cost more money.
For sure.
Medical included and maybe that. So if you buy it for another purpose, it can be cheaper.
Yeah.
Even in the plane, the screen displays on the plane, they cost tons of money compared to your screen.
It's not just a regular screen.
No, it's just because you want to make sure it's like if you kind of hit that screen, nothing happens. So it should be, safety is important. So whenever you require safety, prices go up.
Right. Right. Because it's going to be triple redundant, quadruple redundant.
Yeah, and plus, just liability also. And plus, they need to be screened safe. And if anything happened, the company is liable. Right. So all of that, go into the cost. However, one can offer better solution. You don't need all these redundancy if you integrate intelligence.
Right.
And one kind of example of that, now they have people using these radars and stuff on the cars and other sensors, but kind of radar was used historically in the military a lot.
Right.
And they have a lot of technologies advanced, and it's a lot of signal processing and math oriented. So you could prove stuff even with the math models, what can work.
Sure.
Also, when autonomous vehicles were there, like shuttles, when you send something to the space, it's a lot of math and physics involved.
Right.
So they have the math. How can you kind of know what's going to happen there? And you don't want to lose your shuttle, no?
Sure.
So you could rely a lot on math, even for autonomous vehicle. Develop good math models, spend some time to kind of guarantee more safe behavior
outcomes and
safe
results.
Things and spend time on formal models.
Yeah.
Currently, some companies, they're spending time on just running more miles, no?
Right.
Like the 1 million mile thing, and how many miles they run. You don't need that. How many times you see kind of shuttles going up in space, coming down to...
Sure.
That, you know what I mean? You don't have that option.
It's good for the public to see it. One of the things that you mentioned was price. And I remember seeing a picture of the first 1 teraflop computer, and it was something like 1,600 square feet. It was massive. And then it fast forwarded to a picture of the CEO of NVIDIA, and he's holding up a 1 teraflop chip in his hand, and it was $250. So it seems it's like the costs to put these things together seem to be coming right now. It seems like it's more affordable right this minute.
Yeah, so the need drives basically the technology and the innovation. That's exactly you you exactly said what I wanted to say. So
gotcha.
Good. So you could see with computers how the technology advanced from these huge computers that would fill out the room also to kind of your cell phone can really process data much better than all these computers, like big computers. Similar with autonomous technology. You see these big sensors, whatever, and you have people working on technology, like cheaper sensors, whatever, and these all will be also you get more innovative, and it's going to be lower cost, and we want to work towards that.
Yeah, I mean, and so this, which begs the question, with pricing coming down, are we getting close to seeing more? And we see driverless cars, particularly, it seems like in your neck of the woods in Tempe, by the university. Seems like there's a lot of them.
Now we have less.
Oh, now you
in Tempe.
Is it Chandler then?
Chandler.
Chandler's the big, right? So because we've got Waymo and Uber and things like that.
Yeah, Lyft. Yeah.
So when would you think we'll start to see more mass-produced cars? Because the first ones will be more expensive, as always. It's no different than when Tesla announces their first, first real car, their first real sports car, the Model. It's very expensive, and then finally they get down to the Model 3, does Tesla, and it's at some point will be $40,000 car. When do we start seeing mass-produced autonomous cars?
Yes, so this is an excellent question, and
just tell us the exact date.
So instead of telling you the exact date, let me put things in context. I mean, if we want it to happen, it can happen in a few years, but we have to all come together. The problem now, these industries, they're working standalone, no effort put on standardization. So if you want to talk, you have to work together on infrastructure for these AVs. AVs can be connectivity or not, but safety standards are important.
Right.
So companies need to work together also with researchers, with academia, with government. And once this happens, this can move faster. So this is important to have this happen. So once you work on these, I mean, again, if all the world were AVs, you can have it in a few years, because all these autonomous vehicles or self-driving cars will be talking to each other. They have the same standards, same communication. You don't have mixed traffic there, mixed traffic with other cars there. So you could have infrastructure to make this happen fast. But then definitely, what's the cost? So it's so are we willing to do that?
Yeah.
So kind of it's not only the technology here, but the whole thing, standardization efforts, willingness of people to work together.
Oh. Well, because it seems like there's other places like China where the rule of the government can push things through a lot faster.
Absolutely.
But would it be reasonable to think that they'll be a heck of a lot faster in adopting? We don't know for sure, but one would think maybe they'll be adopting autonomous vehicles quicker than the United States?
This helps when, I don't want to this helps when you have government pushing standardization. In Europe, they move much faster on standardization than the US, because there also is government kind of a lot they push things to. I mean, here the US is more, the industry together, they push things, and sometimes you have competition and things then move slower due to that. But it has the kind of advantage, also more innovation, more things, more competition that would push things. But there they move faster on standardization and getting this happen and adoption. So pros and cons again here.
Sure.
But to help with this and moving faster, we're starting an initiative here in Arizona.
Oh.
But what I can tell you is this initiative exactly to have people work together in open collaboration environment. So it's open between industry, universities, and government to come together.
Yes.
Exactly, to kind of work on technologies to enable safe, efficient mobility at scale, so affordable, and also work together on standardization, policies, regulation, policies and ethics and social
and you're
impacts.
in the middle of this.
Yeah. So, but this hopefully
in a couple of weeks we'll know more.
Hopefully.
Like a big announcement.
Hopefully, once we're ready to launch that, definitely, we'll hear about it, and we want to launch it kind of yesterday.
Yes. Well, I knew you're working on something, and that's amazingly exciting. That sounds great. I mean, I'm looking at you thinking, I wish you could just tell me the rest.
So basically, also one thing, the public also they like to have. They complain, especially when we had any accident or when we have any accident they complain about transparency, what's happening. They don't understand these technologies, what's behind these technologies. Right. So transparency is important, especially for safety. And we'd like kind of to be involving the community in these efforts.
Well, let's talk about safety, because we got to talk about the Uber accident. So So from the news, what we get from the news is that a number of months ago, earlier this year, there was an accident where a pedestrian was killed crossing the street, and it's because of the media, the way that it works and the way we consume information. It was sensationalized, and for those that read the headlines and those that aren't privy to the detailed report, the black box information from the car, some would look at it and just say, "Oh, well, we're not ready," and they look at that kind of thing. And so, can we, from what you know of what that situation looked like, what do you think it was a statement about, geez, we're not ready for the technology, or maybe it was something else?
So it depends what is meant by we're not ready for the technology.
Right.
So I would say we're not ready because there is a lack of open collaboration between different parties to kind of enact standardization effort and things, and how things can be tested and others. But as far as technology detecting the pedestrian, it did detect. I mean, reports showed this black box detecting even far in advance and saying, imminent obstacle brake, but the automated brake, to my knowledge, was turned off.
Right.
So if the automated technology was turned on, it would have the car would have stopped.
Right.
But it's again, we need you need also to talk about how we train these drivers who are driving the AVs, meaning especially in a test mode.
Right.
Especially when the driver should take over and the brake is not automated, is off. The automated brake is off. So so when you are in this actually situation, when the car is driving by itself and you need to take charge, it's much more difficult than driving by yourself. So to drive something, so kind of to pay attention to the road when something is driving.
Right, because you're not engaged.
Yeah, you get distracted. You're not engaged. So some people kind of would argue that level 3 level 5 is full autonomy.
That level 5 is no steering wheel, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
but when you are at level 3, where the driver should take over, this is more dangerous than level 5.
Really? In level 4, there's still a wheel? There's still a steering wheel in level 4? Or level 5 was no gas, no gas or brakes.
It depends how you design your car. What if you have a car and you want to be able to drive it from time to time?
Right.
So maybe you need some interface to do that. You like a steering wheel or not customized. You cannot turn it up, off on the AV mode.
Yeah.
But what is saying, when you have a human in the loop, you need really to train them how to take charge suddenly when they have a few seconds.
Right.
We're not used to that. We're not trained to do that.
Right. I mean, it's well, because you bring up kind of the social implications of autonomous vehicles. And so those that are going to be making autonomous vehicles will say, if the roads were covered in autonomous vehicles, then it would be a much safer place to drive, and insurance rates would go way, way, way down. We'd have so few accidents. I mean, I read something, there's 110 people killed per day in accidents, and they say, oh, geez, if we were all in driverless cars, we wouldn't have that. So we've got the social implication where, with the roads, do you think be ultimately safer?
I believe, they're going to be safer, especially if you have full standardization and these cars working smoothly together and consistently, definitely. And we should work towards that. Plus, imagine just also we have a longer lifespan now. The population is aging. You have a bigger percentage of senior people. Imagine those
terrible drivers. Just kidding.
Not terrible driver. Even maybe they don't. I mean, so even themselves might want to have somebody drive them around, and you can have a big independence by having autonomous car come and take you anywhere you want.
Right.
So much better quality of life for these senior people. Even I was talking to younger generation, and I was so surprised to see how scared they are of driving.
Yeah.
This younger generation, because they got used to the ride sharing, they love to have these autonomous vehicles. They don't want to drive.
Right.
They said insurance is expensive, the car maintenance is expensive.
Yes.
They love to have autonomous cars also taking them around. So, which is strange. And because of these needs, I guess, so, these businesses, engineers and things, they look at societal needs and they try to fulfill those. And especially if that's going to increase safety, improve the quality of life. So that's the ultimate goal.
It is.
Definitely you have people looking at the business side too, because if it should be sustainable.
Yes.
So I guess it has a lot of advantages, but to get there, different people need to talk to each other.
Right.
from the city to the
all the
state
way,
to the whatever.
right.
So you have to have policies in place how to deal with these AV, plus standardization and companies working together, together with the researchers and government. You have to, and that's kind of what. This is kind of the aim, or like what motivated us to do this initiative
at ASU,
led by ASU, kind of at ASU. Yeah.
Wow. So my son just turned 15 and a half, and he got his learner's permit. And this weekend he had his first live driving instruction. We know where the passenger has a break, and I was dropping him off, and I said, "Well, have fun." And he said, "Can you please stay?" And stay. He goes, "Yeah, can you go with me?" And I said, I looked at the instructor. He says, "If you want, most parents don't come, but if you want to, you can." And I looked at Zach, and he kind of, and so I go, and I almost vomited. He's a horrible driver, and I was praying for driverless cars. I was thinking, you forget how hard it is when you first start driving, how much you put on the gas, how much you put on the brake, and he's going to be a terror on the road for at least 2 or 3 years as he's getting all of the senses. And I'm just thinking of how nice it'll be for the generation under him, maybe never to have driven a car, and they'll be just as happy as the students and don't have to worry about it, I guess.
Yeah, if they don't have to do it, why do it? No.
Right. And it's better for the parents, believe me. I
it's
almost
like
had a heart
maybe
attack.
washing dishes, and if you have dishwasher versus washing. No.
So,
I mean, some people love their car, and it's a joy to drive a car, especially a car that you love. So, and this doesn't have to go away.
Yeah.
It's like now, people riding horses or something.
Right.
Then, so you could enjoy riding your car.
Yeah.
But when you have really to go, like a necessity, you could enjoy doing other things in the car.
Right. I would sleep. I would get some sleep. I would read. I would work. But I would.
Imagine you have a gym in the car. So you could be exercising while going to work. Why not? If it's an AV. So think about innovations there. So all the things like businesses can create. Now you have this AV taking you. I mean, why not exercise?
I'm freaking out.
I mean,
right
you
now.
could we have some bicycle,
yes,
or some small treadmill. I don't know. So you could be exercising there and reading at the same time.
But quality of life. Quality of life, you would think, would go way up, because if you needed the rest, you could sleep. If you needed to work, you could work. If you wanted to communicate with family, you could do so. You would think that things get a little bit better.
Yeah, and if you want to drive, maybe you could drive, and if the vehicle is intelligent enough, whenever there is a situation, it would take over.
Right.
So you're allowed to drive also.
Oh, people are going to struggle with that. So question. So talking about decisions. So there's kind of like this age-old decision that at some point people will ask, and they'll say, okay, we have a situation where your autonomous vehicle is cruising down the road, and it's going to have to decide to hit a pedestrian or to hit a school bus of kids. And how does it has to hit one, right? Because obviously if it could break, then this isn't a real conundrum. But how do we make some of those tough decisions? How does that work?
So in a word, all like with AV, this doesn't occur. I mean, because all this, like, going to communicate in advance with each other.
Yeah.
And, with this standardization, they're going all with the same technology. I mean, you can prevent this. You don't have to have like the choice if you had that.
Really?
When in mixed traffic,
wow.
I mean, if it's like all AV, but bus is it or not?
AV.
Yeah, if the bus is not.
Okay, pedestrian's a different.
No? I mean, pedestrian, it depends also how you do the things. I mean, you could always have bridges for pedestrian to cross or something.
Right.
I mean, instead of just jumping in front of an AV, you can regulate, but the AV should be able to avoid the pedestrian. I mean, like they can detect these people. So it shouldn't be a problem.
So you think the social issue of like, okay, well, here's a car with a family of 4 and here's a car with a family of 10 and we got to take one of them out.
So now, like if you start now having AV in this hybrid traffic, mixed traffic, we said where we have like normal kind of driving with the AV driving,
texting and,
you would have like to take decisions. Definitely the car would have to take a decision.
Right.
And it would be nice like to have like the intelligent car there and to try to kind of optimize or minimize the damage, so you could, so you don't want to kind of fit anything, but, so you have to assess the damage and minimize it as much as possible. What can you do? But we hope that we have also safe technology when this occurs. Maybe the car can have like external, like like some airbags that would protect the bus and the thing. I don't know.
Right.
So because you know that this imminent is not like, so if it can detect that, maybe if it could deploy some technology that would protect the bus, whatever it hits.
Right.
You could imagine something like that happening. Why not?
But this is to your point, though. This is why you need. This is why you need to have a number of different parties and policies put into place, because it's somehow the light turned on for me just then. So I get that, in that you can't be making these decisions in a vacuum. It can't just be General Motors making this decision. It can't just be the LiDAR people making this decision. It can't be one. Toyota's the safest because we killed the less people. It has to be.
I mean, you're bringing a very good question. Because of that, in our initiative, we have our law school involved.
Oh.
Yes, looking at regulations, policies, exactly the same questions, liabilities, looking at, and what model one can develop even to kind of avoid because you can develop safety models to avoid these situations.
Sure. Sounds like more math.
You could think, instead of just randomly trying to kind of drive and see situations, you could develop things to test stuff and even formalize things.
Right.
And so we're looking at this, and we have a lot of interdisciplinary work at ESU. We have the School of Future of Innovation Society,
right,
where you have people from different departments working together to answer questions and impact on society and stuff. So this initiative, we hope to involve people from different departments, law, business, engineering, and
right,
even our public safety.
Sure.
You can think you can increase public safety also.
Well, because everyone's going to bring their disciplined understanding to the table, because then you can get a solution that works best on all levels, hopefully, if everyone's truly coordinated.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you think that people still, because the question is, some people may want to drive, and that I'm thinking of people, because a driverless car in my mind, just for some reason, is a sedan, and some people are going to want a giant truck, or some people are going to want a mobile home, those kinds of things. And
you have people having collectible cars. I have my neighbor, he has maybe 5 collectible, I don't know.
So do we outlaw those cars? What are we supposed to do?
So you need to do something about it, and exactly. So this is something to be answered.
Well, so what are we going to do?
That's what makes it also interesting. Also, so for these collectible cars and stuff, what is the model for this?
Make them drive the surface roads.
Maybe
Get off
there
the
are
highway.
some aftermarket things you can install in cars also that can allow you some level 2, level 3.
Those people with those classic cars, they like all the original, the original vinyl and the original radio.
I don't have answer to this question at this point.
Oh my gosh, because I do wonder if you just make it illegal to drive those kind of cars, because they'll be the hazardous ones. The unpredictable ones.
Maybe you can think about, you have your AV truck or AV whatever that can kind of load your collectible car and to go to a nice scenic place where you can drive it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be driving it on these anywhere. You can go and enjoy driving your car in a scenic place made just for that.
I can't. Yeah. See,
why not?
When I drive up to Sedona, I don't get to enjoy what I'm looking at. Or you drive through Sedona, or you drive to the Grand Canyon. So question, you've been in a driverless car, I assume, right?
So that's really a good question. To answer it, really, I haven't been in a driverless car. I've been working on the technology.
Yeah.
We're developing, so we have this driver assist system. I haven't been in a fully autonomous car yet, but things that have driver assist, braking, automated. We're working on this even at ASU, part of competitions with the Department of Energy. So something that has level 2. I've been not the full
What's level
autonomous.
2? What's level 2 again?
Like you have this driver assist system.
Okay. Forward braking.
Forward collision. And things like that. So.
Wow. So do you think that when a driverless car is ready, you're in? Are you going to be totally trusting being able to sleep?
When the technology, if they don't tell me what they had there, so you could, as an engineer, basically, I know testing is very important and validation, and that's why we have this engineering design method where you iterate on the design, test it, validate. So I want to make sure I understand how they did that.
Yeah.
and not just don't trust blindly something, boom, and go into it. Especially, you need to make sure they got tested and validated. They have to provide that data, no?
Yeah, and that's where for me, the first mass-produced driverless cars, I'm all over it. Like when the first one's mass-produced.
Exactly, same thing.
I'm not going to be the first one with aftermarket. I'm not going to go to Advanced Auto Parts and put a system into my I don't want to believe. But so what I tell people that ask, I have my car's 2 years old, and I tell people this is the last car that I'm going to physically drive. So my plan is to drive this car until I can get a mass-produced car. Mm-hmm. So I know I already kind of asked you, but so do you think this car is going to last for me? Is this car, do you think I'll be able to drive this car? If I can drive it another 5 or 6 or 7 years, do you think my plan will work and I'll be able to get into a nice GM, a Ford, a Dodge, or something? It depends.
Maybe you can move to Chandler, and then you can get that.
Or I can move to China. I can move to China and get my driverless
so
car.
You would be able if you move to that place. So again, it's up to us to make this happen as a society, to get together to make this happen.
But the tech is ready.
The tech is can be also more ready when we work on standards. So when you work on standards, that minimum things, the technology can be refined and improved to meet these standards. Okay. So that you have companies with their tech ready between quote, but under definitely you need a lot of, to drive a lot, to memorize the area, and then you can do some change detection and stuff. Right. And plus it's very costly now. Can you do a more cost-effective solution? Right. Because you need to deploy this at scale.
Yes.
If you want to, it's for a niche, it's ready. If you can have, it can be very expensive, so you can have something like that. But to have it as deployed at scale to make sense, we need to work towards more cost-effective technologies, from sensing to processing to so all these elements in the car, control, etc. But all of it need to be also cost effective.
Yeah, and so for those driverless car skeptics that are out there that say, it's never going to happen, I don't feel safe, or not in my lifetime, it's coming.
Let me ask you a question myself. So what do you think coming first, traveling to space or AV, autonomous
you're
vehicles?
Asking me? We can already do space. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So some people are waiting to go like humans to space, non-astronaut. No, Well, so you are on a list.
Yeah, they have the Amazon, Blue Origins, and they have, of course, the Tesla. The Tesla offshoot company that's got the rockets that come back down. But I'm not as excited. I know for me, I'm good not being in outer space. I'm much more excited about not having to drive a car.
I'm more comfortable getting into an AV than going to space myself.
Than putting yourself with a rocket explosion. Yes, absolutely.
And I'm not sure if you heard about Uber doing Uber Air.
No, tell me.
They're doing flying cars.
No.
And they're kind of working now with universities. I just read an article, UT Austin also is doing something for them to reduce the noise, because if you're flying, you don't want a noisy car flying.
What's the technology? Is it like a jet engine? How are they staying afloat?
So they want to vertically go up and vertically go down, and they're working with some engineers even from NASA and others like previous or some aviation engineers, let's put it this way. Yeah. And they're working with some people to reduce now the noise. So they're working towards air, autonomous vehicle, I guess, especially.
No,
I don't know if this
I'm not ready for this.
I'm not sure if this got triggered by the accident that happens. They forget about ground.
Let's make our accidents
forget about the pedestrian.
Much bigger. Yes, when we do it, we'll just land on top of a pedestrian next time. That is, wow. Yeah. First of all, we could do this. I could do this all day. You are awesome. So we did the whole thing. Dr. Lena, you're incredible.
No, it was very enjoyable talking about this.
Thank you so much. When that announcement comes out, we're going to do a big email blast to our clients.
Okay, great.
We'll let them know.
We'll send you some
2 weeks of setting my calendar.
Release.
We're tracking you. We're tracking you on Google. We're going to let you know. Again, many thanks to Dr. Karam. We appreciate you being here. That is the Autonomous Car podcast for Henry & Horn Wealth Management. Manage the funds. Thank you for listening in. Stay tuned for our next podcast coming soon. Take care. Material on this program is intended for general information only and should not be taken as specific investment, tax, or legal advice. None of the information contained in this broadcast is intended by the host to be a solicitation for sale of any security. Further information is available by contacting Henry & Horn Wealth Management. Securities offered through Independent Financial Group, member of FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Wealth Management LLC, DBA Henry & Horn Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. Henry & Horn Wealth Management and IFG are separate and unrelated entities. Henry & Horn and Henry & Horn Wealth Management are separate entities, member of FINRA and SIPC.